On another subject, over the years, the consolidation of the beef industry has threatened the livelihood of Iowa farm families and rural communities where they reside, and it isn't limited to just Iowa. This would be farmers all over the country. I've been working since 2002 to increase the producers' leverage against processors, improve market price discovery, and better situate independent Iowa cattlemen in the fed cattle markets. This past year, these issues became even more apparent and urgent because of the COVID pandemic. While the cattle industry has internally looked for ways to increase the amount of cash trade, it has not been able to find a solution. Unfortunately, this means that government intervention is needed, as it is past time for a solution. Government then needs to step in to guarantee that the free market treats cattlemen fairly. From the 2012 USDA agriculture census to the 2017 agriculture census, Iowa lost nearly 1,500 cattle producers. While we don't have USDA statistics from the past 2 years, the release of the 2022 USDA agricultural census will likely see an even more dramatic loss of producers because of the pandemic. I know this because of my many conversations I have with independent producer cattlemen from nearly every county in Iowa. During my meetings in all 99 Iowa counties, cattle market transportation and my bill introduced last Congress with Senator Tester mandating 50% of negotiated cash trade in the cattle market is one of the most mentioned topics at those county meetings. The aid that Congress offered via the USDA coronavirus food assistance program provided over $7 billion in assistance to cattle producers so far. However, this assistance is merely a Band-Aid covering a gaping wound. Congress must step up again and instead of providing payments to producers, make sure that producers have access to fair and transparent markets. From the Holcomb, Kansas fire at the Tyson's facility to the widely reported closures of processing plants due to the coronavirus outbreaks, we continue to see a wide disparity between the cash price of fed cattle and the price of boxed beef, which in turn affect consumer cost. Normally, the packer spread between the price of live cattle and boxed beef is about $2,100 per hundredweight. But USDA's report on the coronavirus shutdowns showed that last May this spread was $279 as opposed to that usual $21 per hundredweight, the highest since reporting began 20 years ago. It is just part of a pattern that has evolved during my time in the Senate. That pattern is farmers getting a smaller amount of the overall dollar for their food production. I appreciate the leadership from Secretary Perdue in issuing their USDA report last August, and that report helps the cause for the Grassley tester legislation. Beyond just highlighting problems, Perdue also offered recommendations, one of which was for Congress to consider a mechanism to mandate a level of negotiated cash trade. This is not a new issue in the beef industry. In fact, I first introduced a bill that would mandate cash trade way back almost 20 years. Today, on behalf of Iowa's independent cattle producers, I'm proud to reintroduce my bill with Senator Tester to mandate negotiated cash trade at 50%. Without a mandated amount of cash trade, producers continue to be residual suppliers and will lack leverage to fairly negotiate with packing companies. Early this month, Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska introduced the Cattle Market Transparency Act of 2021. There are some excellent provisions in Senator Fischer's bill, such as the creation of a contract library, as well as new required reports on the number of cattle scheduled for delivery. These provisions will add great transparency and great price discovery. They're important to Iowans as they are to Nebraskans. However, when it comes to a negotiated amount of cash trade, Senator Fischer's bill only mandates a regional minimum. This means price discovery would still be reliant upon cattle producers who already are negotiating. So what is price discovery? Well, put simply, price discovery is where a buyer and a seller agree on a price and a transaction occurs. Cattle producers of all sizes and in all regions recognize that price discovery is a public good, a very good public good. These producers also realize that the thinning of the cash market is a serious problem for all market participants. Producers in the Midwest of the United States, reporting regions, already provide ample price discovery by putting in hard work and selling cattle using negotiated means at nearly 60%. They do this while producers who sell with formulas use these prices in their contracts. That's why something must be done. Any legislative solution should address the imbalance of the cash trade across the entire beef belt. So my bill with Senator Tester would simply shift the burden of price discovery from independent producers like those in Iowa and spread it evenly among all cattle producers. I'm looking forward to working with Senator Fischer and the entire Senate Agriculture Committee to make permanent changes in mandatory price reporting, which needs to be reauthorized by September 30th of this year. Cattle producers are counting on us to make changes. We can no longer take a wait-and-see approach. The beef industry employs hundreds of thousands of hardworking men and women who work each day to help feed our country and the world. But the USDA agricultural census shows we are losing these producers. I'm asking my colleagues in the Senate to co-sponsor my bill with Senator Tester and to ensure then that the strength of the supply chain and the support for our cattle producers.